I'm not really the sort of person that just sits way at the top of the peak and waits for the bombs. That's not really my vibe. And I'm not really a scrappy surfer, so I guess I'm just basic bitch in the middle. The most crowded waves in the world would have to be Snapper Rocks, Pipeline, Rainbow Bay, Greenmount, Kirra. Basically the whole east coast of Australia from Byron Bay up to Noosa. My best advice for anyone trying to navigate a crowded lineup is to just read the room. Like, do your best at predicting which surfers are the strongest, the ones that are getting the most waves, what position they're in, the ones that are paddling the hardest, the ones that are obviously ripping, but maybe they're going to be surfing too hard, so they might fall off. Just be ready, you got to move fast. Try and stay out of people's way, but also you got to be assertive in the lineup. Otherwise, sitting to the side and being all happy and stoked, you're probably not going to catch too many waves. Don't BB in the water, no. At somewhere like Snapper and lower trestles, you can find a weaker link and sit near them because you've sort of noticed something that it's mainly in their paddling skill. Like, their equipment isn't big enough for how well they can paddle, so they're probably going to miss a lot of waves. But they're also good at positioning, so they'll be in the right place to catch that wave. They don't have enough aggression or assertion to kind of be taking off or reading the lineup well enough, because at Snapper the best thing that I've learned in my career is you're just predicting what's going to happen. You're always trying to be 2 steps ahead of what the surfers are doing on the wave, and it's mainly a safety mechanism, because if you're watching a guy who's flying along and you're trying to like duck dive the wave, you're trying to predict like, all right, is he going to do a snap here or a cut back, and that's going to really help you out in being safe and not getting in their way. And so yeah, you just learn to read what their abilities, and if someone's not a great paddler, then you can sort of sit near them, around them, and you'll know that they may block enough that if they're paddling for a wave, it might scare everyone else off enough, but you know they're not going to catch it, so then you can just go. Lower trestles is a really great example of learning how to sort of partner up with people and just reading a pack and knowing, okay, this guy's been getting a lot of waves, this girl's sort of sitting on the inside, she seems to be picking off a lot of waves that the crew out the back are missing. I would partner up with a goofy footer. Caroline's a good one. The Gdauskas brothers are always so enthusiastic and willing to split the peak. It's actually a fine art, and it's pretty cool to kind of learn the ins and outs of a lineup and all the people in it. I'm a pretty happy, easygoing person, and I've definitely had my moments where I've, snapped and probably said some ridiculous things to people, but to just stay positive in those moments, it's actually not that hard, because you just have to have a perspective on the whole situation and be like, the fact that anyone's fighting over a wave in the ocean is ridiculous. And we need to be gracious about it and understand that we're some of the luckiest people in the world to be going for a surf. So that's my take on it. I'm like, well, I could just sit here and be really frustrated, or I can just think about the fact that I might actually get to go surfing today. And that seems to get me out of my negative headspace. The best people that I've seen get waves and like navigating crowded lineups is definitely Gabriel Medina. Watching him in and around events when we're in like really crowded lineups, you've got every Joe Blow and every local who's trying to impress all the pros, and then you've got all the pros who are trying to practice for the event. They're probably some of the worst crowds I've ever experienced, and Gabriel Medina is seemingly on every wave or every second wave that comes through the lineup. And you can't even hate it. It's just so impressive. And whether that's at Margaret River, Chopu, J Bay, it doesn't matter where it is, He is relentless. Actually, Ethan Ewing is good in a way where he's always on waves. They're not always the best waves, but he's definitely productive in free surfs. Like, he catches maybe more waves than anybody else. He won't really sit at the back and wait for the best ones. He just wants to be catching waves. And yeah, he's just always on waves. So that's super impressive. Obviously, Gabriel and Ethan are very different characters, and their approach to the whole thing is quite different. But I think that kind of aligns with their personalities, because Gabriel is ruthless. Like, he'll just take any and every wave he can, and Ethan is a little more reserved. Like, he's on the inside catching a lot of waves, but he's not as like aggressive in his amount of waves he takes from the peak, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. Watching guys like Joel Parkinson and Mick Fanning navigate the lineup, where, I mean, jumping off the rock, those guys are sort of waiting till they see a set, and then they're jumping into the lineup, so then they're literally on the inside of everyone and they're paddling into that set. Most people are sort of waiting for the set to pass before they jump, but these guys are like, okay, if I get out there before the set, I can actually catch the set. Nick Vasicek, actually, they were just so good at picking up like which surfer was gonna fall right at the right time, reading the rips, like if the current was rushing through, and Nick would be able to sort of read where the rip was going to move, and then the wave that would break right off the side of the rip was going to be the next best barrel. Just things like that, where people are getting sucked out in the rip and the crowd's sort of getting washed around, and then Nick just knew that if he like paddled in and got inside the rip, he'd be able to catch the next best wave. Just little things like that, where you sort of had to read the whole picture when you're out there, and those guys were always so good at it. If we're at a scary wave, then I'm like sitting wide, inside and wide. If we're at a fun, easy wave, then I can sit up the top and wait for a good one. Yeah, it just kind of depends where it is, depends what the crowd is, but I guess I'm more of like a middle ground. Yeah, I feel like I can kind of, if I'm in the middle, I can kind of sneak out the back. If the main guys up the top of the peak, or main guys and girls at the top of the peak, if they clear out, then I can maybe sneak a set. Or I can get into the inside and sneak into some small ones too. But yeah, I'm not really the sort of person that just sits way out the top of the peak and waits for the bombs. That's not really my vibe. And I'm not really a scrappy surfer, so yeah, I guess I'm just basic bitch in the middle. It's only okay to burn someone if they've snaked you. If they've paddled up your inside, you know, if you were waiting patiently for a wave and they decided to paddle around you, and that they deserved that wave over you, even though maybe they had a wave just before, then you have every right to drop in on them. Unless maybe the rules change in Hawaii a bit, I don't know. The rules are definitely a little different everywhere you go, so maybe read the fine print before you paddle out. Snapper, the Gold Coast, where I surf mainly when I'm home, is kind of like a free-for-all. There's no rules. If you can take off on someone, if you can see, like if they take off and they wobble a little bit, or they're kind of like, I don't know, that you can just tell that maybe they're not going to make the section, you can just go, and if you can go around them or just go as fast as you can and race off, then that's your wave. I think when I was younger, I was a lot more aggressive. I would probably have been like an 8 or a 9 in terms of just catching waves and burning people and going for it. Now I'm a little more reserved, and that sort of goes around the world. I think like my time competing and how important it is to be patient when I'm competing is sort of rubbed off on my free surfing, and I feel like I'm a lot more patient in my free surfs, and much to my coach's dismay. I think they just want to see me catch a lot of waves, and I'm always like, I don't know, I think at this stage in my career and my life, I love catching heaps of waves, but I also enjoy watching other people catch waves, and I definitely get frustrated if I'm not being like super productive. But now my aggressive levels are probably like a 6, maybe less. 5, that's pretty bad actually. Yeah, I'm a total pushover in crowded lineups these days. It's not good. Don't tell anyone that.